Hi, welcome to Hold the Light, a show for lifelong learners who are curious about the ways we can deepen our connection to our personal transformation and spiritual growth. I'm Lori Gunning-Grossman. This season, in addition to occasional interviews, I'm sharing my reflections on the wisdom and offerings of the book, The Freedom Transmissions, chapter by chapter. If you're interested in creating more peace, simplicity, balance, forgiveness, and freedom in your life, welcome to this space. Welcome back to part 2 of my conversation with Carissa Schumacher. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, pause this and go take a listen to it, and then come back and join us. In this conversation, we talk about how Carissa views the Freedom Transmissions more as a meditation. She shares some of the transformations she's seen in people since they've read the book, and she also offers some practical tips on how to work with the book. You don't want to miss that part specifically. We pick back up from part 1 talking about the Freedom Transmissions and the phenomenon on how when we read the book, new passages, paragraphs, or lines can hit us in a totally new way. Sometimes we may not even remember reading it. But how is this possible? Carissa explains.
The divine spirit works with space. In human, we work with time.
Yeah.
And so the way that spirit interacts with us is through the language of synchronicity.
Yeah.
And within spirit and the divine, because we don't have the density of form and body, everything is very nonlinear. And what I have found with the Freedom Transmissions is that it's not meant to be a linear book. This is not one that you pop out on a, flight to Florida.
Right.
It's also what's called in Hebrew sikha, which means it's a meditation. There are the words that are offered, but then there's also the energy beneath the words.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's not just, a mental knowing there. If you really surrender to the process, there is an entire internal transformation. And so Yeshua has actually encouraged us not to always read it linearly, and to focus. If there is even just one sentence that really resonates on a given day, just meditate on that one sentence, because it will shift and anchor and move energy within you. With any sacred text, one line of a sacred text meditated on over and over and over can be the key to one's entire realization and enlightenment. And that is true for certain passages in the in the Bible, the Quran. I mean, I'm not going to compare this to that.
Yeah.
But there is a sacredness. And so what I have found, I can't read big chunks of the Freedom Transmissions at one time.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much. I mean, it's like eating all sorts of stuff and not actually metabolizing or tasting the food. And there are certain things that he weaves in that, because he goes fast. He moves through things pretty fast, even in the transmissions that he gives now. And you really sometimes just have to sit and pause, because in the middle of an entire chapter, in between 3 different paragraphs, there can just be sentence 4 in one of the paragraphs of the Freedom Transmissions that is like a complete mic drop.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And if you're moving too fast and don't sit with the mic, it's just sit with that for a moment.
Right.
A perfect example of this is, I forget which transmission it's in. I think it's the second, where he speaks about grace and defines grace. He's talking about hope and clarity and all of this other stuff. And then there's just this one sentence: grace is the echo of your spirit upon the web of life. And I'm like, whoa,
yeah.
Can we just pause there for a minute, expand on that?
Mm-hmm.
And what's really funny is because the Freedom Transmissions really sets the foundations for the other transmission series, he does expand upon that. And that's going to be some of the content of the next two books that will be emerging over these next couple of years. He did an entire transmission series on grace and how we interact with grace upon the spirit of life and how we receive gifts from the universe and the difference between gifts from the divine and just things like signs or whatever. I know that you were there for that transmission series in March. But another place where this exists in the first of the Freedom Transmissions is when he just very quickly goes through the different elementals that we need to create balance. Mm-hmm. And he speaks about like holy water, holy fire, holy earth, holy air. And then he says, and what these bring you to through the power of simplicity, stability, surrender, and stillness is they bring you to the fifth element, that is space. And I was like, can we talk about that a little bit more? And then, of course, what he's done in the transmissions over the past couple of years with abundance being defined as the circuitry of spaciousness and how to weave that current of abundance through spaciousness in our life, how to align all of our circuitry with the divine circuitry and fuse our human technology with our divine technology. So reading it, it is a meditation. And so what a lot of people do, similar to like pulling a tarot card or like an angel card, they'll just open, they'll put their hands on their heart and say a prayer and just ask divine, allow for whatever needs to be revealed to me, and they'll open just to a random page and the Freedom Transmissions. And very often and unshockingly, because the divine is good, exactly what they read on that page becomes important to their experiences and process and things that occur within their lives on that day. So there's a very magical essence that that lies beneath this.
Yeah, I do that. And I know a lot of people who do that, just what you're saying, where it's sort of like you have something on your mind, or you just want guidance. You're just curious what is meant for you to hear today, and open up a page of the book. And it is just uncanny, the message that I'll speak for myself, that I will get in the moment where it's exactly what I wanted to hear or didn't even know I wanted to hear, but it was meant for me in the most perfect ways. And yeah, I like you calling that it's a meditation, and that is what it feels like. And it is also good to keep in mind, as you said, there's a lot to unpack in the Freedom Transmissions. As you said, Yeshua's moving fast. There's a lot of information, a lot of wisdom, and it's packed full of incredible wisdom and meditations and offerings and inspiration. And it's even like, as you just read that passage where I know I've read that before about nature is the common thread that unites you all. And yet still it can feel new because it's new to me today. That's what I love about this book, for people to come back to time and time again. And, I think one thing I wanted to ask you, as people do move forward, say they haven't read it before, and then they're going to start right now and move forward, what would you say, what would you suggest to them as a way to take it in, to enjoy it, to really connect with it? What would you offer to those people?
One of the things about Yeshua that I love and appreciate is that his essence, his peace emanation is not fussy. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And he doesn't ask for ceremony. He doesn't even ask you to get on board or agree with. He's not here to shift your beliefs. Your beliefs are yours. You're welcome to them. That's not, his essence is about transforming your perception, your consciousness, giving you the support and energy to allow for your true divine essence to rise, to ignite, to activate. So even if reading this challenges your beliefs, or it's like, oh my God, channeling and this girl's a psycho or whatever, like, take me out of it. Like, I didn't choose this either. I promise. I swear on the freedom transmissions, I did not choose this, and I probably, if given the choice, would not have chosen because it just requires a tremendous amount of, focus and sacrifice in order to serve and honor what Spirit is asking of me. But nevertheless, Yeshua, to begin to open the covenant between like you and the horizontal, and the covenant that you as an individual share with higher consciousness, with the universe, with the divine. All that is asked is just willingness. Willingness to explore. Yeshua has said before that he would rather, that he is more connected to someone who has missed the mark and just missed the mark, but is still having the humility to reach, to try, to hope, to pray, to look for, to feel the inherent worth of their essence, even if they feel so much guilt and shame about things within the past. He would rather have a person that is just open and willing than a person that is a closed clamshell, convinced of their rightness. That person is operating from their separate self, and that is totally fine. But this is just, the freedom transmissions is just, it's a peace offering. That's it. It's like Yeshua is just lending his hand. If you don't want it, you don't have to take it, but like, why not? There's no downside to this. And if people's religious beliefs are getting in the way, there are tons of rabbis, people from all different, the Hopi. I have several Hopi folks that love the freedom transmissions. I have several Catholic priests that really love, because it's not about beliefs. It's not about ideology or dogma. It's accessible. It's relatable, not only for one's own divinity and illumination, but there's also support that is offered through its wisdom to help stabilize and shoulder and co-create with you in some of the changes that happen in horizontal life. So there's really no downside and one heck of an upside when it comes to this. But of course, there will be a transformation that happens. And so it's understandable if someone is just not ready. The divine does not force things. Part of divine law is that the divine cannot bypass our free will.
Right.
And that is a deeply sacred trust that has been structured between us and the universe. And so Yeshua is never going to be an ideologue that is forcing things down anyone's throat in his life and how he comes through my channel, and likely some other authentic channels for Yeshua throughout time. So this is not about forcing. It's not even about giving. It's just about offering.
Yeah.
A hand. It is about an offering of peace to self through self.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that he says at the beginning that you don't even need to believe in him or understand him, or I think even have faith in him for him to still be here with you, for us to still receive his grace. And that just seems so welcoming to me to hear that. Just, it's like, I'm still here and I will still be moving things with you. I think, as you just said, though, if we are open to it, it's available to us. I have a question, though. When you said that there will be transformation for people who do read this book. Do people then say to you, well, what kind of transformation? Are people nervous about this? Are they excited about this? What do you hear from people?
Well, I've said this before, but when you not only surrender, but commit to flowing or opening to peace frequency, Yeshua's frequency, Christ frequency, which again is all of the divine. He is one with Divine Mother. He's one with Moses. He is one with White Buffalo Calf. Like it's just all one divine, but with Yeshua's emanation, which is the peace frequency, the child of truth and love, masculine and feminine. He really does make this deal with you, whereby he says, if you do the vertical, if you just take more time for the being, calm down, put the fears aside to the best of your ability. If you just take a sweet minute to be, I will work out everything in the horizontal for you. So from my experience, when people hear the word transformation, unfortunately, there's positive, but there's also some shadow in there or unrealized stuff within this. When people hear transformation, they think about therapy. Or, oh my God, I'm going to be put in my traumas, or now I'm going to have to revisit this whole thing from the past, or, there's something wrong with me, got to do more work. With Yeshua, it's really joyful. There is so much, it's like spirit glitter, like so much confirmation. Like the transformation that I have seen people have the most is that they just plain feel more joyful. It's like they have the best of both worlds. They have this vertical connection and have certain needs met there. And that makes it so much more joyful and curious and childlike to move forward within the world. Another transformation that I hear is, wow, like my creativity is activating. Another, I'm feeling like myself again. Another, oh my gosh, I have like all of this wisdom that's flowing forth. And I feel it like now I feel like I'm like channeling wisdom. Another aspect of transformation is an increase in people's intuition, feeling like stronger sense of this is aligned, this isn't aligned, discernment over here, really trusting, inspiration over here. So a lot of the transformation is just that, like if you like trust the process, things do become simpler because you've become more simple, stable, surrendered, and still. And so you're not crashing, colliding through life, like getting in your own spirit, your own consciousness's way of creating and aligning things in the way that best serves not only your own needs, but also your gifts to be able to serve others along the path.
Yeah. And everything you've said, I've witnessed that, seeing people in this community on journeys, people I talk to, in between journeys, like my journey sisters, I talk to them every single week, a group of us. And I'm witnessing everything you've said. All of those things are happening. And we say to each other constantly, we just are amazed at what almost feels like magic that's happening. Now, is everything sunshine and roses? Of course not, because as you said, like it is transformation. So there is some shadow involved. There, we are looking at stuff. We're letting go of some things. Some things are being let go for us. And then we're moving forward, from that, and still having like this foundation of these transmissions and this community and the work behind it. It's like things are elevated. It's still life, and there is joy to it, or there is magic to it. There's learnings, there's wisdom. It's the intuition that you brought up. I mean, the way I'm seeing people tap into their intuitions just for themselves, just to know themselves better, or to answer things in their lives for themselves without looking outside of themselves, is so beautiful to see. And that's like one of the reasons why I'm like, let's talk about the freedom transmissions. Let's put it out there. And even as you said, as we're moving into this new era and as things are happening in this world, I just have this feeling of like, why not shore yourself up with the beauty that's behind here? Like, for me, it's like there's just growth and evolution that will come out of all of this, which leads me to another question I have for you, because I'm like, yeah, everyone read this. It's amazing. Go for it. Your life will change in different ways, small ways, big ways, anything. But how do you counsel people to embrace fearless faith in Yeshua in the same way that you, as you've talked about when you first started channeling the transmissions, going out to the mother tree at, in the evening and just trusting you're going to be okay, which just took so much faith. How do you counsel people for them to have this as well, this fearless faith in Yeshua and in this community, in this world?
I don't.
Okay, go on.
What I can do is support. What I can do is understand. What I can do in, say, a private session, group session, on a journey, to see the person so that they begin to feel more trust within themselves. I mean, everything about the foundation of Yeshua is about, yes, the divine works with all of the collective. He works with all people. But there's also a very individual relationship. And unfortunately, in a lot of religious structures, it's like, people abdicate responsibility for learning, establishing, gleaning, honing their own covenant, their own individual faith and relationship with the divine, to a priest or to a structure or an organization or an institution. And so I can support someone, but I can't go through. I can't do the void for them. I've gone through my own voids, but their voids, I didn't create. I'm not equipped. What I can do is I can hold that space. Of course, I am a forensic psychic medium, which helps if the person needs a little bit of like proof or comfort that X, Y, or Z in spirit is there, that this is safe. I can suggest a couple of things that I know will help them to strengthen their faith or leave certain relationships that are keeping them in more fear-based types of paradigms. That I can absolutely do. And in some ways, I guess I can just be myself. And if my own journey is inspirational to others, wonderful. I mean, I view my relationship with spirit as a marriage, with higher consciousness as a marriage. And like any marriage, there are moments when there are lover spats or moments where certain constructs, commitments, things need to be renegotiated, or like it takes maintenance. But what Yeshua provides in the freedom transmissions and all of his transmissions is he makes it simple and he makes it fun. And there's a lot of so it doesn't require suffering. Like the old era, the paradigm was the only way that you transform is through the experience of suffering. It's through suffering that you're elevated into your process of awakening. And yes, that can be one path, but there's the other path, which is experiencing the awakening and the evolution of consciousness through willingness, through humility, through joy. And so he provides this whole other path that at the end of the day, and more so on a continual daily basis, allows there to be just deeper peace within one's life. So I can hold and guide and support and at least, practice integrity to continue to quote unquote lead by example. I don't consider myself a leader and certainly not a teacher or anything like that. But when it comes to someone's own fear, I would never strip them of the glory and joy of when they, through their courage and their faith, transform that.
Oh, beautiful. So here's another question I have for you about this book. So we have the book, we have the hardcover, and then there's also an audiobook. And I know that you do offer suggestions in your intro to the book, like keeping a journal and a pen handy when going through the book, or spending extra time in meditation or out in nature. What do you say then about perhaps putting these two together, the audiobook and the book, as part of the whole experience?
That is a very interesting question, and one that I have received a lot of feedback about. There are some people that just tend to be more auditory. They process things better on the auditory front. And there are other people that it wasn't hitting them as deep as actually like having something tangible in their hands or even on Kindle, and actually reading the words and the text. And, each of them have very different energy and glories. The benefit of the audio is that structured in, this wasn't me reading the transmissions, and actually the process of me doing the audio book in the studio was absolutely hilarious because he made it clear that it couldn't just be me reading the transmissions. And so for 7 days, I would have to go to this recording studio in this tiny little room with the director and the sound engineer, and I would have to bring him through.
Oh man.
And then there would be a lunch break. And then I would, and these poor people are like sitting in the booth. And there were times that Yeshua would interrupt the transmissions because he had something that he wanted to share with them. Like he interrupted and had like an entire message for the director about her late mother and father, and just which led to a miracle in her life. And then he's like giving his counseling and guidance to like the sound engineer and his relationship issue. Like it was just hilarious. But nevertheless, the benefit of the audio is that you get the sound code activations. And so the resonance and the vibration and the cadences when Yeshua speaks are very, very powerful, because he does his frequency, it brings forth a lot of counter polarities. And so in listening to him, there can be one moment where it's like you're very, very high up in what you're receiving, and then he'll bring in like slow rhythmic breathing to help ground that. And sometimes he'll breathe in the breathing, and that allows you to flow more deeply into like the light aspect of your being. So there's the benefit of the sound codes. But then, of course, in the text, this is where, it's just so tangible. Why I like the text, and I've heard a lot of people say this, is this allows them to hear Yeshua's voice in the way that they need it to be. There are some people that start reading the book without listening to the audio, and all of a sudden it's like they get to know Yeshua's voice within themselves, within their own channel. And then all of a sudden they can start to almost like hear that voice during certain times of the day or, during certain circumstances. I also love the text because he's a wordsmith. There's actually a really special member of our community that calls Yeshua a rapper because he will play on these like different, like when he's talking about forgiveness and he breaks it down, for I give. He does this a lot. He's very, very much into the restructuring and the cleansing of certain sound and word logos. And so to see the capitalizations every single time that he says the word love In the freedom transmissions, the word is capitalized. So there are even just like the syntax and the presentation and the text can open and bring forth certain inspirations. So some people love both, and with some people, depending on their independent need or individual needs, they prefer the audio or the book.
Yeah. I mean, I highly recommend doing both because there are meditations that it's really nice to hear Yeshua speak the meditation where you can just close your eyes and listen to it, or any of the prayers, any of it. So it's nice. I think it's nice to have them both. And if you want, you can go back and forth. I personally love having the text because I've underlined my book and I write, I annotate it and everything.
Right.
But it's also nice to put in the earbuds and listen to it. And, especially as I said, like some of the meditations and stuff, there is something about it. And I'm just fascinated that there are, what did you say, like sound codes? Is that what you said? Like sound code. I love that. Like, that's so fascinating to me. You sit back and things are happening. They are happening. So yeah, I think it's great to do both of those. What else do you hope that people know about the freedom transmissions, or what you hope it gives to them as they're moving forward? Like maybe one thing is like a practical thing, perhaps. And you do in your intro, as I said before, like you do give some suggestions, like taking time and maybe not drinking a lot of alcohol or caffeine or any of it all as you're moving through it, just to give yourself that space. So practically, what are other things that you would want people to know as they move forward? And what do you hope that they take with them after reading it, at least for the first time?
Well, those are two very different questions. So I'm going to break these down a little bit.
Yeah.
Just one of my prayers is for folks to be able to utilize or lean on this sacred text. One of my prayers is that they keep it simple. There are certain exercises. I mean, some folks, listen or read, but they don't actually do the meditations or the writing for the freedom transmissions personal process, or some of there are little sections where he talks about like some homework or some ways to apply the wisdom in everyday life. And that is what really grounds and integrates the light and the wisdom, to actually go through the full process, because then you're not just like hearing or receiving the darshan and the metta and the energy and the words. You're actually beginning to embody it. And so going through and actually doing some of the processes or the meditations, it helps for the foundation to be more deeply anchored within that person and within their vessel. I also, when I say keep it simple, when he talks about simplicity, the structure of the Sacred Heart, simplicity, stability, surrender, and stillness. I really strongly recommend not trying to master those all in 1 week. Today, I'm doing surrender. Tomorrow, I will focus on stability, or I've got to be perfect in all of these. No. I spent an entire year on surrender. I spent an entire 6 months just on the power source of acceptance. And if you're finding that you're struggling with a certain aspect of the transmissions, either move on, but sometimes it's the aspects that you have the most resistance to that are actually the most important for you to be delving a little bit more deeply into. So those are my suggestions. And also, don't abandon it. Sometimes people start reading and then it's like, okay, well, I, did the process and things aren't transforming as fast as I want them to. And where am I? And they just on to the next thing. And that is like a strong cultural tendency that we have right now, where it's like, oh, I read the Freedom Transmissions. Now I'm going to read this book. Now I'm going to read this book. Now I'm going to read this book. This one is one in the greatest light periods and the deepest shadow periods of your life. This is something that you reach to from a sense of need as opposed to want. You know, and sometimes you can have like resistance. There was a period of about 9 months after this was published that I had a lot of resistance to even picking it up, even revisiting it, even reading it. Again, it was just like after saturating in the publishing process for an entire year, and it was just like so. And so I had some healthy resistance at first, like with all things, we need to take a little bit of space, we need to integrate. But then I had some unhealthy resistance coming up surrounding reading it. And, you know, I've got other transmissions to do and other journeys. And then I had a very, very painful experience. Thank heavens that I had this experience, but I had a little bit of a trust violation in my life, and it threw me for a loop. Normally, I'm pretty good at like seeing things coming in advance as a forensic psychic medium. But, you know, it blindsided me a little bit. And I remember calling my dad and being like, you know, I really feel like I need to like read some kind of a book or listen to some kind of, you know, he's like, honey, have you forgotten your book? And I was like, and so all of a sudden I like go and I get the Freedom Transmissions and I open it to a page and it was like, bam, exactly what I needed. It was just so absolutely divinely orchestrated.
Oh, Dad. So, thank you, Dad.
I'm right there with the folks that are like, sometimes I have resistance or, you know, I'm on this transmission and my eyes are glazing over and like, and so the final thing is read, whether you do it non-linearly or linearly, please do not judge until you've actually completed the book, because once you get to the 9th transmission, the 9th transmission is kind of almost like difficult to get through without the wisdom and the body of the first part of the book. But when you get to the 9th transmission, where Yeshua talks about the actual meaning of divine freedom and how to realize that within yourself and within the world, it is fireworks. Absolute fireworks. I mean, if there was any message to humanity, what he says in that section where he talks about like the chapter that's the chalice and the vessel, it is really almost everything that I feel that we need to hear as a world with regards to forgiveness and acceptance and moving beyond some of our petty stuff to really, really focus on the glory of what it is to be in this life. And so if there were any two things that there are so many things that, and it's so unique to each person. For each person, the answer to what do I hope people will receive is different. For some people, it's peace. For some people, it would be greater trust in their own strength and courage and divinity. For some people, it would be support. For some people, it would be fulfilling a need that they have to be heard or supported. For some people, it would be helping them understand the true essence of the divine and the gifts that they carry within them that others in their life may have, you know, judged them or shamed them for. No, and overall, it's just, I guess for all people, everything and everyone is redeemable. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of redemption, no matter how many times you've missed the mark. You are worthy of transcending abuse and trauma. And even if you have experienced those things, you have the power to resurrect. It is built into the origin of your spirit, your consciousness, your body. And so the thing to encapsulate that, it's what I hope people wish to receive is an opening to the beauty and glory and divinity that permeates all life through peace.
That's just leave it right there, Carissa. I mean, it's so beautiful. And I love how you are also saying that each person who reads this is going to get what they need from it. And it might not be the same as the person sitting next to them who reads it. I do think that a greater feeling of peace does come from this book. It's, for me, I think that is one of the greatest offerings of this. But it's unique for each person. That's so beautiful that you said that and pointed that out. I just love that. And we will just be encouraging people to pick this up and read it and listen, because I just think that it is part of our journey of people who are interested in leading a life, as we've said these words before, of simplicity, stability, surrender, and stillness. I mean, God, doesn't that sound incredible? Of peace and balance and forgiveness and freedom. It's found here. It's here for the taking for anyone who wants to move forward in this. And I can't thank you enough for being the person who brought it forth as the channel to Yeshua. So I thank you deeply.
And thank you for allowing us to embark on this foundation together on this really special day, an anniversary of the birthing of the Freedom Transmissions in the first place. It's now I know that he's trusting and supporting you all to be that ninth transmission. He says at the end, you are the ninth transmission now. And I think that people hear that, but there is such a sacredness and trust, mutual, between divine and person. That is such an honor for us to serve as the ninth, the completion of the Freedom Transmissions and the birthing of Christ consciousness, peace consciousness, unity consciousness within this world. So I feel like with this Freedom Transmission study and all that it reaches, and even those that it doesn't reach, he set the foundation in the first 4 years of the final death of the old era. And now he's entrusting all of us in community, you, me, everyone, to create this foundation together.
Beautiful.
It's really special. And of course, if anybody wants more, I mean, the Freedom Transmissions feel so long ago. It's like, what about the power transmissions and the abundance? I just can't wait. Next year we kick off really the focal process of the grace transmissions, which is gonna be the next pinata to unpack.
I love it. But, now, wait, when you say you're kicking it off, does that mean it's getting published in 2025 or you're working on it?
No, the completion of really the first draft. And this next book is a little bit more complicated. I mean, I almost really can't call it a book. It feels more like, it's like a darshan. I don't even know what to call it. But this sacred text. The next one is going to be very interesting because we're right in the precipice of like the full thrush into new era energetics. And the Freedom Transmissions were really simple because it was just one transmission series, all together. And he just wanted to include the Sacred Heart transmissions. But with these, it's like, how do I pick and choose? So I know that he'll guide me on what he wants, but what I can share is that the second book is very much how to take this foundation and expand it into your relationships, the structures within your life. The freedom transmissions is kind of like how to internally get aligned, and the grace transmissions is how do we share and align that energy in the structures of our internal lives. And the final book is the third emanation of the Trinity, is very much about how to step in to service through joy. And the fundamentals of service through joy, and how to recognize and birth one's own, the gifts inherent to one's essence more deeply into the world with deeper trust, with deeper abundance, with deeper joy. So that's just a snapshot. But of course, if people want to find me, you can come to a journey. I also do private sessions. And Lori, of course, I'm going to be popping back on
Yes, you are.
mid-journey of this sacred text study for the freedom transmissions.
That's right.
Yeah.
What a joy you are, Carissa. Thank you so, so much from the bottom and top and surroundings of my heart. You're the best. We did it. We did it.
We did it.
So this conversation with Carissa ends my kickoff to this series where I'll be going through the freedom transmissions here on the podcast. Carissa will be popping back on a couple more times throughout this series, so be sure to keep listening. If you want to work with Carissa, she's available for private sessions or small group sessions. Or if you want to attend one of her journeys, you can learn more at thespirittransmissions.com. You will meet an incredible community of people. And be sure to keep tuning in as we move together through the freedom transmissions. Thanks all. Keep holding the light. To connect and learn more, find me on Substack at Hold the Light with Lori Gunning-Grossman. Subscribe to receive my weekly emails, discussion threads, community events, and more. You can also find me on Instagram at Hold the Light Collective. Hold the Light is produced by me, Lori Gunning-Grossman. Jonathan Grossman is our producer, editor, and all-around sound guru. Theme music by Jonathan Grossman. And this show is recorded at Night Shift Audio.